What's up, everyone? Tara Roberts here with 444, giving you my 10 must draft players for 2023. Walk away from your draft with as many of these guys as humanly possible. And if you want more fantasy insights and tips, head over to 444.com/plans and sign up for a subscription today. And exclusively for our YouTube audience, use promo code YouTube at checkout to save 25%. Now let's kick things off at quarterback. There are two guys that are my anchor quarterbacks on my fantasy teams this year. Justin Herbert is being drafted as QB7 with a known ceiling of QB2 coming off a year that was literally the combination of every worst case scenario, and he still finished as QB11. Herbert lost his top weapons for significant portions of the season, and although Herbert didn't actually miss any time, he dealt with a rib injury that he struggled to play through, and it really hurt his mobility. Herbert isn't a rushing quarterback, but he's a guy that does depend on being mobile, and without his mobility, he just really struggled. But Herbert is healthy, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are healthy, and the Chargers drafted Quentin Johnston to strengthen their receiving core. With Josh Palmer still there as well, they have got one of the deepest receiving cores in the league. They also hired Kenneth Moore, who is really looking to take this offense to the next level. Do not let Justin Herbert slide past you in your fantasy draft. My second quarterback that is a must draft is a guy that is going right before him, Justin Fields. Justin Fields finished as QB7 last year and is being drafted as QB6. And last year's performance was definitely not the ceiling for Fields. He has so much more room to grow and legitimate overall QB1 upside. Looking at 2022, Fields failed to exceed 30 pass attempts in a single game last year. But the Bears have made aggressive commitments to improve the offense, including the acquisition of DJ Moore, to give Fields that true wide receiver one that he's needed. We just need a modest increase in passing and red zone efficiency to really take him to the next level. We've seen the ceiling for Fields when he hit those two 40-plus fantasy point games, and we've seen the floor with solid floor games from Fields in the range of 19 to 23 points. So basically, if you see the name Justin at quarterback, draft. Moving on from quarterbacks, let's talk about my must-draft running backs. We can keep this short and sweet with this first one. There is no reason to let James Conner fall past you in your fantasy draft. Conner's ADP is insanely friendly, and he literally has zero competition in the backfield. Don't be fooled by the narrative that you should avoid all Cardinals because Arizona is going to be awful. Arizona was awful last year. This isn't new. The majority of the back half of the season was played without Kyler Murray. In weeks 10 through 17, Conner was RB5. I repeat, Conner was RB5 in PPR in both total points and average points per game, averaging a whopping 19.8 fantasy points per game. The offense can be awful. That doesn't change the fact that he is the unquestioned lead back in Arizona and has zero incentive to reduce his workload. He is an absolute must draft at his ADP. Next up, you are hearing it correctly. Javonte Williams is one of my must draft players. Yes, a player fresh off of an ACL injury is a must draft player for me. I'm not saying that it comes without risk, but the risk is greatly mitigated by his ADP. Williams is currently RB25 at a range that is literally perfect to draft him as your RB2 and cash in on his strong RB1 upside. It's tough to truly buy into believing that Williams is 100% healed and truly ready for week one, but all indications are that he's good to go. And while Williams has yet to have that true breakout season and has never really had the backfield all to himself, that seems like less of a concern in a Sean Payton offense. We've seen Sean Payton utilize two-back systems very effectively throughout his entire coaching career. As long as that ADP doesn't jump higher than a low-end RB2, I am drafting Javonte Williams any chance that I get. My next player is someone who has been a late-round steal. But now with all the reports around a potential RB1 role, people are hopping on the Gainwell hype, and I just hope his ADP doesn't rise significantly because as a card-carrying Kenneth Gainwell truther, he's an absolute must draft for me. The Eagles' backfield is a true mystery. DeAndre Swift is the most proven back in the offense. Rashad Penny is the guy who profiles as the best fit for Philadelphia's offense. Gainwell is a smaller back. and that's led people to believe that he's simply a receiving back, but he has shown 3-down capability, and despite his size, he's been utilized at the goal line, and when the Eagles have called upon him to do so, he's done so very well. Whether or not he starts the season in a critical role or earns RB1 status after Swift or Penny deal with injuries, using a late round draft pick on Kenneth Gainwell could reap huge fantasy benefits. Moving on to the wide receivers, the Falcons' offense is oddly stacked with talent, extreme talent, with Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and one receiver that I am absolutely loving, Drake London. The Falcons' 2022 offensive passing stats were some of the worst in the league. They threw the second fewest attempts and yards in the league with just 17 total passing touchdowns. But the majority of that was with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, and the Falcons have committed to Desmond Ridder for 2023, and while we won't see a dramatic uptick in volume, because this is still a run-first offense, we will see an increase in pass volume with Ridder. The Falcons transitioned to Ridder in Week 15, and from that point forward, London was wide receiver 18 in PPR. Again, the Falcons will remain a run-heavy offense, so don't expect top 5 potential, but London is the clear wide receiver 1 in the Falcons offense and could have low-end wide receiver 1 upside with some stability at quarterback. Another player that I am drafting all day, every day, is Romeo Doubs. There is so much skepticism around the Packers offense, but don't underestimate what this talented group of pass catchers in Green Bay are capable of doing, and Doubs' discounted ADP is an absolute smash pick for me. Doubs didn't have a big 2022, but he did immediately earn a significant snap count, playing over 80% of snaps weeks 3 through 8 before getting injured. The results were spotty, but that's expected for a rookie, and Doubs had several strong performances showcasing his true upside. And this year, Doubs has earned his role within the Packers offense, and he's the clear wide receiver 2. All signs indicate Doubs could be a target hog within this offense, with Christian Watson serving as more of the big play guy and Jaden Reed as more of the slot role. At his ADP, Doubs really only has to hit a low-end wide receiver 3 to pay off. It is extremely low risk with really good upside. Another player that I cannot leave my draft without is Skyy Moore. Moore's ADP has risen a tiny bit with the injury to Kadarius Toney, but it is still very cheap for his potential upside. Moore is overlooked for 2 reasons. 1, Travis Kelce. 2, Moore was a popular sleeper pick last year, and that was a complete bust. So people just overlook the possibility of what he could bring to the offense this year. No one will be Tyreek Hill in this offense, but it is very possible that a top 24 receiver could come from this group. And what makes me lean towards Skyy Moore is that he could truly lead this receiving core, and he is tied to one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's got stability, he's got upside. All he needs is opportunity. And the Chiefs have been very vocal that they plan for Moore to be an integral part of the offense this season, and Moore has reportedly made significant leaps. After a lackluster 2022, this could be the breakout year for Moore. Let's talk about another Moore being drafted just a few receiver spots after Skyy Moore. Elijah Moore is another must draft for me. 2022 was absolutely insanely disappointing for Elijah Moore. He was coming off a rookie season with a fantastic 7-game stretch wedged between 2 injuries where he averaged 17.7 fantasy points per game in PPR, a top 10 receiver. But literally everything that could go wrong for Moore happened. The Jets invested in arguably the top receiving prospect of the 2022 draft class. His connection with Zach Wilson was abysmal, and he completely fell out with the coaching staff. But reports are the Cleveland Browns are absolutely loving Moore and want him to play a more critical role within the offense, and Moore could be the wide receiver too. The plan to use Moore in a more versatile way and have him used out of the backfield as well is incredibly appealing. I am so excited to see the resurgence of Elijah Moore, and I am drafting him whenever I can because I refuse to miss out on this bounce back season for him. The hype around Zay Flowers is absolutely unreal. Every video of him is him absolutely destroying a route. Each highlight is incredible. Flowers is set to make a big impact as a rookie. Despite all of that hype though, he is still checking in at a very reasonable ADP. The fact that you can grab Flowers as a wide receiver floor when he's giving such strong rookie of the year vibes is absolutely amazing. Of all the rookie receivers, Flowers has the most realistic path to being his team's wide receiver 1. Now Flowers will have to contend with Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham Jr., and ultimately Mark Andrews should continue to be the first lick in the Ravens offense, but the path is clear. And at his current ADP, he could provide legitimate league-winning upside. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like the video and comment below. And if you want more fantasy insights and tips, head over to 4for4.com/plans and sign up today for a subscription. And exclusively for our YouTube audience, use promo code YouTube at checkout to save 25%.